The forest was a vast, green expanse, filled with life of all shapes and sizes. Underneath the towering trees, where the sunlight dappled through the leaves, 3 mushrooms grew close together but led very different lives. Lilo was a bright, cheerful mushroom with a vibrant red cap speckled with white dots. She loved to make friends with all the creatures of the forest. Mortimer, on the other hand, was a dark, imposing mushroom with a deep blue cap and a perpetual scowl. He preferred to be left alone, his gruff demeanor keeping others at bay. Lastly, there was Jasper, a small, pale mushroom with a quiet disposition. His slender, beige cap seemed almost translucent, and he often found himself feeling lonely despite being surrounded by life. One sunny afternoon, Lilo hopped over to a new spot in the forest, humming a cheerful tune. She spotted Mortimer standing stoically under a large oak tree. "Hello there, I'm Lilo. Isn't it a lovely day?" she chirped. Mortimer glared at her, his dark eyes narrowing. "What do you want, Lilo? Can't you see I'm busy?" "Busy doing what?" Lilo asked, genuinely curious. "Busy being left alone," Mortimer snapped back. Before Lilo could respond, Jasper appeared, almost blending into the background. I don't mean to interrupt. I just heard voices and thought maybe I could join in," he said softly. Lilo beamed at him. "Of course, Jasper. You're always welcome." Mortimer huffed. "Great. Just what I needed. More company." The 3 mushrooms stood there in awkward silence for a moment. Then Lilo, ever the optimist, tried to lighten the mood. "Hey, let's play a game. How about we guess what kind of animal will pass by next?" she suggested. Jasper nodded, a small smile forming on his face. "That sounds fun." Mortimer rolled his eyes but didn't protest. "Fine, but only because I have nothing better to do." As they played, a squirrel scampered by, followed by a rabbit. Lilo guessed correctly most of the time, her keen observation skills shining through. Jasper managed a few correct guesses, and even Mortimer got one right, much to his surprise. Despite Mortimer's initial reluctance, the game brought them closer together. They laughed and chatted, and, for a moment, the differences between them seemed to fade away. It was the start of an unexpected friendship, though none of them realized it just yet. Days passed, and the 3 mushrooms continued to meet under the oak tree, forming a peculiar but growing bond. One afternoon, Lilo arrived with a new idea. "Let's decide who has the best cap color," she suggested excitedly. Mortimer scoffed. "That's ridiculous. Obviously, my deep blue cap is superior." Jasper glanced down, his pale cap looking even duller in comparison. I don't think mine is that special," he mumbled. "Nonsense, Jasper," Lilo exclaimed. "Your cap is unique and beautiful in its own way." Mortimer rolled his eyes. "Oh, please, Lilo, you're just saying that because you're too nice. Let's be real here. Bright colors are the best." Lilo frowned, her friendly nature momentarily overshadowed by annoyance. "That's not true, Mortimer. Beauty is subjective. Everyone has different tastes." "Well, my taste is the correct one," Mortimer retorted. Jasper, feeling uncomfortable, tried to mediate. "Maybe we shouldn't argue about something so trivial." But Mortimer was stubborn. "Trivial? It's important to recognize superiority." Lilo crossed her arms. "You know, Mortimer, your attitude is why you don't have many friends." Mortimer's expression darkened. "And your naive friendliness is why you don't understand the real world." The tension between them grew, and Jasper sighed, feeling caught in the middle. They argued back and forth, neither willing to back down. What started as a silly game had turned into a full-blown dispute. As the sun set, casting long shadows over the forest floor, the mushrooms finally fell silent, their anger simmering. They parted ways, each lost in their own thoughts. Lilo was frustrated by Mortimer's arrogance. Mortimer was annoyed by Lilo's optimism, and Jasper felt more alone than ever. The following morning, the forest was unusually quiet. The air was thick with tension, as if the trees and creatures sensed something was amiss. Lilo, Mortimer, and Jasper met under the oak tree, their previous argument still fresh in their minds. "Look, about yesterday," Lilo began, but Mortimer cut her off. "Forget it. We have bigger problems," he said, pointing to a strange, dark cloud hovering above the forest. Jasper's eyes widened. "What is that?" "It's the shadow spores," Mortimer explained grimly. "They spread quickly, consuming everything in their path. We need to stop them." Lilo nodded, her earlier frustration forgotten. How do we do that? We need to work together, Mortimer admitted reluctantly. Even if we don't agree on everything, we can't fight this alone. Jasper, though scared, found courage in the unity of their task. What do we need to do? Mortimer took charge. We need to find the source and destroy it. It's the only way to stop the spread. As they ventured deeper into the forest, they encountered patches of the shadow spores, turning vibrant foliage into lifeless husks. The sight was both terrifying and motivating. Despite their differences, the three mushrooms knew they had to rely on each other. Lilo used her keen senses to track the spore's origin. Mortimer's strength helped clear obstacles, and Jasper's knowledge of the forest guided them through hidden paths. They faced numerous challenges, from treacherous terrain to encounters with other infected creatures. Their journey wasn't easy, and old tensions resurfaced. Mortimer's impatience clashed with Lilo's optimism, and Jasper's self-doubt often slowed them down. Yet, each time they argued, they remembered the common goal that bound them together. As the days passed, they grew to understand and appreciate each other's strengths. Mortimer learned to value Lilo's positivity, realizing it gave them hope. Lilo respected Mortimer's determination, which kept them moving forward. Jasper, though still struggling with his confidence, found solace in the support of his friends. After days of traveling, they finally reached the heart of the shadow spore's infestation. A massive, pulsating spore sat at the center of a once beautiful grove, now dark and decayed. The air was thick with a toxic haze, and the ground was littered with the remnants of fallen plants. "This is it," Mortimer said, his voice tinged with both determination and fear. "We need to destroy that spore." Lilo nodded, her eyes wide with a mixture of awe and dread. "How do we do that?" Jasper stepped forward, his usual timidness replaced by a newfound resolve. "I read about this in an old book. We need to combine our strengths. Lilo, your positive energy can weaken it. Mortimer, your strength can break it open. And I can use my knowledge to find its weak spot." Mortimer and Lilo exchanged a glance, then nodded. "Let's do it," Mortimer said. They approached the massive spore, each feeling the weight of their task. Lilo closed her eyes and concentrated, channeling her positive energy toward the spore. A faint glow emanated from her, surrounding the spore and causing it to tremble. Mortimer stepped up, his muscles tensing as he prepared to strike. With a mighty blow, he hit the spore, cracking its tough exterior. Dark, foul-smelling liquid oozed out, but the spore remained intact. Jasper, using the knowledge he had gathered, pinpointed a vulnerable spot on the spore's surface. "There! Aim there!" he shouted to Mortimer. Mortimer struck again, this time hitting the weak spot. The spore shuddered violently, cracks spreading across its surface. Lilo continued to channel her energy, weakening it further. With one final, powerful blow, Mortimer shattered the spore. It exploded in a burst of dark spores, which quickly dissipated in the light of Lilo's energy. The toxic haze lifted, and the grove began to show signs of life once more. The three mushrooms stood there, panting and exhausted, but victorious. They had done it. They had saved the forest. In the days that followed, the forest slowly began to recover. The trees regained their vibrant colors, and the creatures returned to their homes. Lilo, Mortimer, and Jasper stood together under the oak tree, reflecting on their journey. "We did it," Lilo said, a bright smile on her face. Mortimer nodded. "Yeah, we did, and we couldn't have done it without each other." Jasper, feeling a newfound sense of belonging, spoke up. "I think we make a pretty good team." They all agreed, their previous disagreements seeming insignificant in the face of what they had accomplished together. The forest was safe, and they had found strength in their differences. As they continued to spend time together, their bond grew stronger. Mortimer's gruff exterior softened,